Welcome, everybody, to the World of Ability Podcast Network. My name is Emily Gomer, and am a podcast engineer here. I'm excited to bring you another episode of Who Cares with Todd Lingel and the Cares Foundation, um, which is kind of about um, his story and in memory of his mother and sister. Due to losing mother and sister due to drunk driving. Uh, but without further ado, I'm gonna bring in Todd here to kick us off. So
All
welcome,
right.
Todd.
Thank you, Emily, for the introduction. Welcome, everyone. Again, I'm Todd Lingel with Cares Foundation, and we have our podcast here is Who Cares? Because we care. And so Emily was telling you, my mom and my sister were killed by a drunk driver when I was 3 years old. What I do is I go out and I talk to kids all about my story because I almost committed suicide at one point in my life. And then we also have a camp called Camp Cares that we're hopefully holding this June 6th through the 13th. We still need some funding. We need your help. But you can go on carestoday.org. Again, that's carestoday.org. And you can donate right there online. Everything is tax deductible. You get a receipt as well. So today I am so excited. I'm telling you, so excited to have a guest. Dr. Mary Welsh is our guest with Susie Q's Kids. I met her on Alignable, I believe it was, and she's just a wonderful, wonderful woman doing some great things. So welcome, Dr. Welsh.
Oh, thank you for having me, Todd. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So this is just like a open talking and unscripted type thing. So tell us about Susie, your special daughter.
I have 6 kids, so each kid is always special, right? Every kid has their different things that they're known for. Susie always had a great smile. She had a great smile, and she had a caring heart. And so, if you didn't know her and you walked in a room, she would make you smile and make you feel like you were the most special person in the world.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So tell me about Susie Q's Kids and what you do uh, for other kids and everything out there. Tell us more about that.
Sure. So, our story starts with a sad thing. Our daughter Susie, she passed away. She was 31, and she passed away in 2017. So she's been gone 7.5 years, and she left a legacy. She left a legacy of hope, healing, and a smile can do a lot of good things. So when she passed away, how do we make something positive out of something negative, right? And
Yeah.
we've always led our life by the cup is always half full. So we after she passed away, her birthday was shortly after that, and we threw a birthday party, and it was a celebration of life. It was not a pity party. I said, we will mourn, but we're not going to sit around and cry, because she didn't do that in life.
Yeah.
And so uh, she had just a heart of gold. So we told kids to go out and buy something for another child, right? And she had a young foster friend when she was little. So we said we're going to make bags for foster kids. And the pool was open, the barbecue was going, they were telling stories, and they made these bags. And I remember one little girl coming up to me, and she was about 4. And she's like, "Do you like this Barbie doll?" And I said, "She's gorgeous." She goes, "My mom took me to the store and told me I could buy any doll I wanted for another girl that wasn't as lucky as me. And she said she was the prettiest. So if I love her, the little girl gets her's she's gonna love her, right?" And I thought that was the purest form of philanthropy I could think of. I think I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
And they put together 50 bags that day, and there was a lot of hope and healing and storytelling and different things that happened. And then we went to drop them off at a foster agency. And the gentleman said to me, he says, "You have no idea what you're doing." Todd, I can tell you, I actually looked at my feet to see if I had my shoes on. Because I was a woman walking around in total grief. I was just kissing my little girl, right?
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to use these bags to share my story so that I can help a whole lot of families. And so there'll always be a child that'll get your bag, but we're going to help a lot of people in the process. And I thought, that's good service. So good philanthropy and good service, helping kids. And a year later, we formed Susie Q's Kids. So our mission has kind of got a couple different facets to it. The bottom line is we make kids smile. We make comfort bags and we give them to other nonprofits. And we tailor the bags to the needs of the nonprofit. So, for example, they go to hospitals, shelters, foster care, grieving centers. They go to autism centers, Ronald McDonald houses. They're in deputies' cars and emergency responders, schools, camps. Wherever somebody calls us and says they have a need, we try to fill that need. And what really happens is it enables the organizations to um, be able to engage with the child in a moment of comfort. And those children, they're able to get the food or the resources or the professional help that they need beyond the teddy bear, right? I can do this all day long, but I
Yeah.
can't help them if their bellies are hungry, right?
Yeah.
And so the bags have their drawstring bag, and they have all kind of activity items: coloring books, crayons, Uno cards, Play-Doh, silly putty, stickers, racing cars, right?
Oh, cool.
And then, depending where it goes, they get a component bag. So if it goes to autistic kids, they're going to get a sensory kit: squishy,
Oh, yeah.
squashy balls, all the sensory items. If it goes to a grief center or a hospice agency, they're going to get a grief book and maybe a journal and some inspirational items. If it's going to a shelter or foster care, those kids maybe are pulled from their home. They need a hygiene kit, full bottles of shampoo because they're not disposable kids, and
Right.
toothbrush, hairbrush, all those good things. And then we also are very engaged with mental health and well-being. So we're
Yeah.
the community partner of the year for the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. So we man the children's tents at their suicide walks, and we talk. We do some active listening, is what we do, and offer hope. And so we go into schools and we engage kids in our program. So we give them a dose of mental health and well being and some suicide awareness techniques and whatnot, all in the form of a funny story about my daughter or one of my other kids or somebody, right?
Yeah.
So that they can relate to it. And then I tell them, hey, we help all these different kids. So what's your passion? What's your purpose? What do you want to do? And they pick out, which type of kids they want to help. And then they have a couple choices. They can do some philanthropy where they could, collect coloring books or do penny wars or whatever they want to do.
Uh-huh.
And or they just do service with me and they help me make the bags, right?
Oh,
And
that's
so
awesome.
we engage kids in helping kids. And I can tell you that we have been able to bless over 17,000 kids.
Wow, that is awesome.
Her legacy just, oh my goodness. And it's just a smile. And I had one little Girl Scout troop come in, and they got a dose of business ethics and shipping and receiving. They got the whole banana, right?
Nice.
And the little girl says, I says, so it's at that time it was 12,000. Is 12,000 a little number or a big number? And they all said something different. And one little girl said, well, it all depends. And I says, you're right, it does. I said, so if I said it was 12,000 smiles, 12,000 kids got a bag, what would you say? That's huge. That's huge. I said, okay, but wait a minute. Are you smiling? She says, yeah. I said, is your friend smiling? She goes, yeah. I said, wait, is that your mom over there? She goes, yeah. I said, she's smiling too. She goes, yeah. I said, wait a minute, are they all smiling? Your troop leader and all the moms? She goes, yeah. And I said, so that's how exponential a smile is. So for every one of the bags you touch today, There's you and another person in this room. So you can multiply that times 2. What's that? 36,000. That's humongous. Humongous. I'm like, that's what we do. We're smile makers.
Out of the mouth of babes, right?
Mouse babes.
Yeah. No, that's phenomenal what you're doing. Like I said, and I know you filled out the form thing for the podcast here, but the one thing that you had on here is you want to share the power of positivity. And what I love is the next thing, because I've said this sometimes as well. It's okay not to be okay.
So, I could tell you story after story, but I'm going to tell you this one. I was in a high school room, and there were probably about 80, 90 kids, and it was like a 3-day process. We came in and did a lunch and learn, and I told them some stories, and we talked about how it's okay not to be okay. We came back, and they did all this philanthropy, and they raised quite a bit of money, and then we came back and we made the bags, right? Mm-hmm. But in that very first session, I talk about it's okay not to be okay, the power of positivity, and how we can flip our script, right? Because you can look at the world as negative, or you can look at it as positive. And that's really how you look at it. And so I had told a few stories, and I said 5 things. Tell me 5 things, and you can come get your pizza. It's hot. It's piping hot over here. I can see it. First little girl says, "Wow, can I come up and get a hug? Because you look like you give awesome hugs." And I learned that I should give everybody a hug every day, because you never know what tomorrow's going to be. And I said, absolutely. And I said, they went around the room, and the young man in the back of the room, the last one, he said, "I'm okay." And I just looked at him and I said, I can't assume I know what you're thinking. So let's tell a story. I said, so, hey, anybody wake up this morning and got butterflies in their stomach, or they got a headache, or just didn't want to come to school today, just didn't want to be here? I said, raise your hand. 2 little girls raised their hands. I said, now you 2 girls have been laughing the whole time I've been here. I said, you look like you're having a good time. I said, did it help you to get up, get dressed, get something to eat, come to hang out with your friends here and do a little bit of good? Did that help? And they said, oh, yeah, we're so glad we came back to school. I'm like, great. I looked at the kid in the back of the room, and he goes, well, I'm okay. And I'm like, no, I'm still not sure what you mean. Yeah. I said, that was a story. Let's paint a picture. He says, okay. I said, so I want everybody and anybody listening to this podcast, if in the last 2 weeks you felt any of that angst, didn't want to participate, just wanted to stay in your pajamas, didn't want to do anything, just had, a little depressed about whatever, just raise your hand. And there's probably about 80, 90 kids, adults in that room. All but one raised their hand. Yep. And I looked at him and I said, so, and he screamed from the back of the room, I'm okay. Now, I would never done that in high school. I might do it now, but I would never done it in high school. Yeah. And he said, I said, on that note, everybody come up and get your pizza. I'll be up front. You can come talk to me. There was a line. There's probably 25 kids sitting there. And he got to the end of the line. He steps up to me. He says, may I please have a hug? I said, absolutely. He goes, today is the first day in my entire life I felt normal. I didn't know other kids felt like that. I didn't know. I thought I was something wrong with me. And he said, and I have all the dark thoughts, and you saved my life because I had it all planned out.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
That's just how I always say we have to raise the dialogue. Because if you're not exposed to something, you don't know any different. And so if it's a taboo subject or whatever, then you don't know how to handle it. And we all have moments. Every one of us has a moment. Just like, that whole room full of people with their hands raised. I said, He was just amazed. He didn't know. I said,
Yeah.
you are as normal as everybody in this room. We're
Yeah.
all crazy together.
Absolutely. And that's what you bring up is key, is awareness, talking about it, because back when my mom and my sister were killed, it was the old adage of buck up, buttercup. You didn't go to counseling. You were a weirdo if you went to counseling. And so then I had that feeling. I didn't know what it was for years. And in my mid 30s, I had to deal with it because everything came out in the open. I was depressed, and that feeling. And when I almost committed suicide, I still to this day, I had a shotgun in my mouth. And I still to this day don't know where my mental state was at. I try to think back. It's like I don't think I was even myself in those moments. As I came out of it, and I think God was the only thing that grabbed me and pulled me back out of things. And it's like, what did I just do? It freaked me out for sure. And so, yeah, I love that as well. And that's one thing I talk about when I go out and speak as that incident. And bringing the awareness like you're doing and the way you're doing it is a wonderful thing. And the younger that we can talk to the kids, to know that it's okay if you are that way, and just like you say, like I love it, it's okay not to be okay,
Mhm.
but let them know that it's okay to talk to somebody about it and not hold that in, because it's the kids that are silent, that don't say anything, is the ones you got to really worry about, because they're the ones that already have, like you say, they have it already contemplated probably of what they want to do. And if they don't get somebody to notice that and get the help, then it ends in tragedy that we don't want. Um,
You know, we do an open bag stuffing every month. So I never know who's going to show up, right? And
mhm.
so I did one a few months back, and two young gentlemen showed up. One was in high school, one was just graduated. And they said, may we please help you clean up and talk to you afterwards. And I say, absolutely, have at it. Come on, let's put these boxes away. So
Yeah.
we put the boxes away, and I said, so what do you want to tell me? What's your story? You heard my story. What's your story? And he said, I just have to ask you a question. I recognized a child in school, a peer, was having a hard time. He was being bullied. And I friended him. And he said, I thought I did all the right things, but he died by suicide. So I just have to ask you, you talk about having a safe word, and you talk about opening a dialogue, and you talk about your moments and how it's okay not to be okay. He said, I listened to you today. If I had known that safe word, would I have saved my friend? And I said, well, honey, we can't go back and fix what's already happened.
Yeah.
But I'm going to make me a promise. And he says, what's that? And I said, you and your friend are both here. I said, so what's your safe word? I said, if you have a safe word, it could be avalanche, something that's not going to be in your vocabulary, right?
Yeah.
I said, I give you permission to walk out of class, to do whatever you need to do when your friend texts you avalanche,
Yeah.
because they are on the bridge. They're not going to use it just because they're on the ledge, right? I said you can get forgiveness later. It might be too late if you wait
Yeah.
to explain. All right. I said, so I want you to promise me that the two of you, before the evening's over, is going to pick your safe word. And then I want you to go home, and I want you to tell your parents what your safe word was and what you learned tonight. And then you guys got some friends, don't you? And they go, yeah. And I said, I want you to tell them what your safe word is. And it can be a different safe word for family and different friends or whatever. I said, but if someone does that, you stop. And I'll explain why. I went through a lot of depression when I lost my little girl.
Yeah.
I got 5 other kids. I got grandkids. I'm a loving husband. There was some I was missing. We're
Yeah.
missing. Somebody's missing,
Yeah.
right? And so it pulls at your heart. And my safe word was make me laugh. So I had all my sisters on speed dial, And if I called them and I got them and I said, make me laugh, they had to walk out of an office, they had to walk out, whatever, and tell me a story to make me laugh. And then the world would be righted again.
Right.
And one day I called my sister-in-law and my brother answered the phone. Well, he proceeded to ask me, did you take your medication today? Have you been to see your counselor? He's trying all the right things to talk to me. And I said, shut up. Tell me a story. He told me a story that made me laugh. He knew would make me laugh. And then he goes, I get it. You just needed to come back to reality. And I said, yeah. I said, because otherwise, go down that rabbit hole and you could be there an hour, 3 days, 2 weeks, doesn't matter. You never know how it's going to hit you, right? So have the safe word, tell the safe word, use it when you need it, but don't abuse it, right?
Yeah.
And to this day, I have a few friends that's our safe word, and I'll just send them a meme. I'll text them a meme and say, "Hey, hope you're having a good day," with a laughing baby or something, and they'll call me and they say, "How did you know I needed you to? How did you know?" And I said, "Well, I didn't, but I felt like I needed a laugh too. It made me."
And you bring up a good point. Is we need to always be cognizant and aware of people around us, for friends. And for example, when I went through 4 years of counseling to learn that I have general anxiety and separation anxiety. And during that time, I went clear back when I was 3 and I was able to mourn my mom and my sister's death. So I was going through the 7 stages of grief. And I wasn't the happiest guy. I would be quick to be angry on things because of what I was going through. And I was coaching high school basketball at the time. And I had to really, really try to focus. And there was a couple of people that were really good friends that knew I was going through something, but never asked me. And after I was through it all and it come out the other end of it, I sat down with one of them and I said, I know you love me. And I know you're a believer, but I said, where were you at? You never asked me once how I was really doing, even though you could see I wasn't my normal self. And they're like, wow, I'm sorry. I missed. I noticed, but I never want to talk to you about it. And he said, I'm sorry. And that's where the education that you're doing for the kids and then the kids to their parents, you're not even going to know how many people you're actually helping and saving in the world. But I mean, you could say that 12,000 to 36,000, you probably 100,000, who knows, but the down to it, you're saving lives, and that's what's key. And we're both saving lives. It's wonderful what you're doing. And it's wonderful that Susie was on this world for what, 31 years? She was 31, she passed. And that she brought it out, and her legacy is still going, and will continue to go. So yeah, it's just, wow. There's not enough mental health awareness out there at all. I think it needs to be taught in school, be one of those core values because of everything that's going on in today's society. Like you have to be a certain way. There's so much pressure for these kids that I probably didn't have when growing up. There was pressure, but not like these kids have today. It's a different pressure.
Oh, it's nonstop. It's on your phone. It's instantaneous. There's no taking it back. There's, a mistake can be, blown up so many different ways, and just a difference of opinion or different view or whatever.
Right.
So,
and you have down here on your sheet here, business employee engagement. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, so how do we support all this, right? And so, we do a lot with youth groups and different things like that, and they always have to come with something because they have to give, and it could be just a coloring book or a pack of crayons, but it teaches that giving portion. But we go after grants and we go after donations and whatnot. And businesses want to know how they can help. And so sometimes they do donation drives where they'll do collections. Sometimes they'll bring their whole team in and they'll do bag stuffing with us, or they'll make blankets, or they can do all different kinds of things. Sometimes they do it in a virtual team thing. One organization made stress balls on a lunch break one day, and they're all sitting around eating their lunch, and they're putting together these balloons with flour in them and drawing funny faces on them, and they ship them all to me. And so I'm like, okay. So it's really about how you can engage that team. And I have people all the time will say, well, why don't you just pick foster kids? Or why don't you just pick sick kids? Or why don't, and I'm like, so my passion is different from yours, right? So you've been touched by suicide. You've been touched by, an accident. It's different from somebody that's, in a shelter or in a foster care agency, right? So I always say, let your team, whatever that team is, an adult team or a youth team or an individual, what are you passionate about? Because now you're really going to help me. Because you're going to pour your passion and purpose into, into helping. So that's, really key. We're the community partner of the year for the American Foundation Suicide Prevention. So Susie had family and a friend that died by suicide. And so she was very passionate about that. And so we do suicide walks. We man the children's area. So people come and the kids play, and I just do a lot of active listening and giving them some techniques and whatnot. And I'll have people come back year after year after year to get a picture with me. So I'm going to tell a story that I tell everybody. So I want you to extend your thumbs up in the air for me. Okay? You get to name those two thumbs. I think I can figure out who they are, but you figure out who are your two thumbs?
Just any name?
Yeah, somebody. So me, it's my daughter and my mom. I miss them terribly, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So it could be anybody. When I talk to kids, I say it could be mom and dad live in a different house. Your best friend is moved to a different school. Nan and Papa are in a different state. Could be your pets. Could be your goofy friends that are sitting on either side of you. They are just your special people, right? When you take a picture, if you put your thumbs up in the air, I say for somebody that's grieving, that our loved ones are always with us. They're in our mind all the time. They're in our heart. And when we put our thumbs up in a picture, they are in every silly selfie we take, every trip to the zoo, graduation, birthday, wedding, all those momentous occasions that cause us major angst because they're physically not there. But they are. They're always with us. But the more you can talk and share a story, that's a story. So when I go to the zoo and I take a picture of my 4-year-old grandson who had lost his uncle at 2 and his aunt at 3, he can tell you all kind of stories about him because they're just in our normal dialogue. But if I don't put my thumbs up, he'll yell at me, Nana, Aunt Susie.
Oh, that's cool.
And when I see him like this, I can say, oh, I see your thumbs are up in the air. Uncle Keith really liked the crocodiles, but Aunt Susie liked the monkeys. What kind of animals do you like? We weave our story forward, right? And so I always say we are the author of our own life. Every day we get to write a new chapter. And have you ever read a book where the same page is on every page of the book? No. So the same people, places, and things are not on every page. They kind of weave in and out. They become memories, or they're just in a different city or whatever, right? And so if we look at our life that way, it makes it a little easier to get through the day, because this chapter is going to close and tomorrow we get to start a new one. So if it's bad today, sayonara. And if it was good, let's go.
That is so awesome. It reminded me a quick story. We're almost out of time here, but I got together with my aunt, my mom's sister, and she handed me a picture, and she goes, "Put it up to the light." I'm like, "Okay." So I put it up to the light, and my aunt's eyes were like had holes. You could see through it, the picture. And I'm like, "That's crazy." She starts laughing. She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Your mom and I were having an argument one day, and she just was mad at me, and she took a needle and poked my eyes out with a needle." I'm like, "Are you serious? My mom did that?" She goes, "Yeah." And so I have that picture now, and when every time I see it, it's like, man, just knowing that little bit of my mom was crazy. Um, but thank you for being here today. We're almost out of time here, and I want to your personal website here is www.susieqskids.org, and then your email, if someone wants to email you and reach out to you, is drmary@susieqskids.org.
Yep. So I always say it's Queen Susie in the middle because people get the QS mixed up a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Well, awesome. Well, thank you. Any last words you'd like to say?
Put a smile on your face every day. Makes other people wonder what you're doing first off, and it brightens it. It makes it easier. And if you're interested in helping us out, reach out to me. There's all different ways that we can work together as individuals, businesses, with kids. And I just wish each of you just a great day. Just have a great day. It's life is good.
Absolutely.
Right. And our loved ones put us on this legacy. You made a statement earlier that you didn't know why things turned around for you. It's because you had an important message to say.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on. And everybody, go to carestoday.org. You can learn more about Camp Cares that's coming up in June. And we will be on next week. Come next week to see who's on Who Cares, because who cares? We care.
We care.
All right, Emily.
Thumbs
go
up.
Go ahead and shut us down, Emily. Thank you.
Thank you.
It'll take just a minute for her to.
So I did okay?
Yeah, I did great. We'll hang on. She'll shut it down and we'll talk for a second.
Thank Mary for joining us today. Come back anytime, and we are here every Wednesday at 9:45 a.m. Mountain, 10:45 Central. And encourage everybody to check out all of our social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and so on. And to check out the people that work on it, like Janet's Disability Channel, Microsoft Transferring You, Zach Clan of the Pack Channel, Lawrence Wingate Studios, Williams of the Midwest Medicine podcast, whatever they do. So until next time, hope everybody has a safe and productive week and to stay happy.